Hi, Revere, and welcome to our show, the Revere Veterans and Community. Today we have a gentleman from Revere. His name is Paul Corbosiero. He is a real community veteran. Paul, thank you for coming on the show.
Yep.
Before we get off on the show, you were born at a Navy base in Maryland.
Yes.
I know you were only 1 year old when you left, but do you remember anything about it? But tell us about your father.
No, my father was a 20-year naval veteran, 2 wars. And when I was born on the base he was stationed at Annapolis.
Oh, down in Maryland.
Yes.
Right? And then you went from there, you came and you moved
We moved to Revere, and I was in Revere for the first 15 years of my life.
And you went to school in Revere?
Yes.
Tell us something about your youth in Revere. How it was at the time you were there, because Revere is changing now, you know.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
So tell us what it was like when you were here.
To the best of my recollection...
That's about 50 years ago, roughly.
No.
No, it isn't that?
About 35, 36 years ago.
Well, yeah, tell us what it was like then. What you saw changes between then and now.
Well, a lot more homes were built, a lot more buildings were built. It changed a lot more stores were built.
Right, we had a beach then, we had the rides
We had the rides on the beach back then, which I wish they never tore down.
That I agree with you, because you know, a lot of the people that, when I go out of state, they say, how is Revere Beach? I remember when I was there, we had the rides, Sandy's rides, the
Ferris
Hippodrome.
wheels, the roller coaster.
Right, I tell them it's all gone.
Yeah, every bit of it too.
Yep, and it was good. By the way, beside that, you do a lot of work on construction. I know that you do remodeling and
Yes.
building, but you also help us elderly seniors. I know it sounds unusual, but during the snowstorms in the city of Revere, at least around the area where I live, it was nice of you to come out and help us shovel out and plow out. What makes you do that? I mean, you know, not everybody does it.
It's heavy, wet snow, and I know what it's like to shovel it because I do shovel it. And when I see elderly people doing it on their own, it doesn't cost me anything, so I do it.
But you said elderly, so what made you stop with me, though?
Well, I saw you struggling with the snow, so...
I got to say one other thing. I got to thank you for something else. I mean, forget about the snow. We feed the birds. We've been feeding them for years.
Yes.
And we had no place to feed them because of the snowstorm, remember?
Yes.
And what you did, which I was shocked, but it was the most nicest thing anybody could ever do for any senior, is that you shoveled out an area for the birds to have a feeding place when we had these snowstorms where there was some 2 feet of snow piled up over there.
Yeah.
And that was nice of you.
Thank you.
So what made you do that?
Well, I see that you feed the birds over there all the time, so I figured you're getting over there and the birds are over there. I mean, build a couple of mounds so that they have a place to go and not be squashed by cars.
That was
There
nice.
are hundreds of birds there at one point.
But you know something? People don't realize that. There was an article in the papers and also on television about mosquitoes, and some of the mosquitoes that carry bad diseases.
Yeah, the triple E's and stuff.
Right. Yep. And the birds eat them.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have the birds eat them than we being eaten by them over there. That's good. Now I got to ask you something else. Tell us something about your family.
My family.
Yeah. You got a nice daughter.
Yes, I have 3 daughters.
Tell us their name. And
I got a daughter Laura, a daughter Heather, and a daughter Stephanie. And I got 3 grandchildren.
Congratulations.
I have Gianna, who's going on 7. I have Andre, who's going on 6, and a newborn that's about 3 months old from my middle daughter.
Right. Now I got to ask you, you do construction and building.
Yes.
Which is the toughest job you ever had to do in construction that you found that you had to do?
Well, it's usually additions. When you do additions, you have to tie new in with old. So they make them a little bit tougher.
Right. I got to ask you, you've got to be able to read blueprints when you do what you do.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Like, for example, if you have to remodel an old house and make it go back to its original form,
Yes.
And you don't have the blueprints. How do you go about it?
Well, I design them myself, and
Oh, you do the drawings?
along with the homeowner of what they're looking for, and we come up with a design, and we do it.
Right.
And we bring them back to their natural age.
I used to be a draftsman years ago on steel, and I worked for steel companies like Bechtel, North Shore Steel, which is in Lynn. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I have, yes.
North Shore Steel?
Yes.
They did a lot of work on the new police stations.
Yes.
The Revere. By the way, the folks, that new police station you got was made by people from all over the eastern seaboard, from Lynn, from Connecticut, so they had a good input on it.
Yeah, they did.
Did you do any work on that?
The police station?
Yeah.
No.
Tell us some of the buildings and if there's any.
In Revere, I had a lot of work to do on the Atlantica, on Revere Beach.
The Atlantic?
Yeah, I did all the siding, took over all the siding, the roofing when they were having problems. Did a lot of the decks. I brought up points of Fay for them, and of course, where I'm not an engineer,
No.
they didn't want to hear it from me, and of course they did have the problem. About $3 or $4 million worth of damage on the first pipe burst. Wow. So I brought that point up that the pipes were exposed, and where I wasn't the engineer, they didn't want to hear it. So
usually that's the way it is, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to hear somebody.
The guy in the field usually knows better than the.
Right. I remember when I was working in Boston on the Prudential Center, for example, on Boston Street back in the 70s,
Yeah.
when they were building the Prudential. There was a couple of engineers that were arguing about the pitch of the roof. Like one said it has to be a minimum of 3/16, the other one said it had to be a minimum of a quarter. One even said a minimum of an 1/8, which is not much of a pitch.
That's not much. Yeah.
No, it's usually 3/16 or a quarter. So they went along with a 3/8 pitch.
Ooh.
So, which is
Very big.
Yeah, but at least the water would
Down,
zoom right up, because otherwise, if when it freezes up, like the winter we just recently had,
Yes.
a lot of the roofs collapsed because of the heavy weight, because the water
Back
had no,
dam, and it
right.
had nowhere to go.
Yeah, because the snow built up at the gutters,
Yes.
and the water wanted to run off.
They call that damming. It stops at the
What do you call
gutters.
that? Damming.
Damming.
Right.
And it just rises back up and lifts the roofs right off.
Right. Before we came on the show, you asked me something about these two little.
Yes. What are these $2 you have here?
I have to tell you what these $2 are for. This is a new one that this lady did. And I got to tell you, she is fantastic. She's from our senior center. Her name is Alice Griffin. One of the people from Revere asked her to make this doll right here. And she makes custom dolls for the people, but she doesn't keep the money. She donates the material, she donates the doll, and she turns the money over to our senior center to help keep it running.
Well, nice lady.
This one she made for me, which I use as a prop, because we do the Revere Veterans Community.
Yes.
And the other veteran shows, and we use this as a prop. So she made that as a donation for us over here, and I use that for every time on the show.
That's Mrs. Sam.
And that's Mrs. Alice Griffin. So if anybody out there has any yarn or anything they'd love to donate to the senior center, please, please drop it off to Miss Lois Diamond, and we can make dolls for you, and you can put your order in. And they're very reasonable, and I think this one just lost a boot. So I got the shoe right here. Okay, thank you. Now, Paul, tell us something about your hobbies that you like.
My hobbies?
Sure. I mean, this is a friendly show here.
Well, I mean, I enjoy work, and I enjoy building and remodeling and seeing what comes out of it and seeing the people happy about it.
Right. So what are your future plans, if I may ask? And I'm going to take a drink, too.
My
Water.
future plans, is continue doing what I'm doing, and that's...
No, what you're doing is excellent. I've seen some of your work, and I have to say it's
And during
beautiful.
the winter months, I do the snow plowing, and I enjoy going around doing it. And you know what the city don't do, I'll do around my neighborhood or
That we know.
elsewhere.
That we know. And by the way, not only from myself, but from other people that live in the neighborhood around the corner, down the street, down the east, north, west, south. They all want to thank you. And, you know, sometimes they don't get a chance to say thank you because they never
because
did.
I just hit and run. I you know, do it and I leave. I don't want to stop and ask for anything. So
that I could vouch for. So we want to thank you for that.
thank you.
Now, by the way, we have good things here in the city of Revere. If you ever get a chance, and you don't have to be really, really old. We have seniors that are 60, seniors 70, 80s, 90s. You have to come down to our senior center sometime just to spend one day there with us. A lot of people have never come down. They don't know how good it is. No. But let me tell you, it's fantastic, especially for old folks. I know you're not that old. I'm about 25 years older than you.
Yeah.
Okay? So someday when you get a chance, stop by in there, say hello to me, to Mr. Fielding, have a cup of coffee, have some donuts. And by the way, coffee and donuts, how much would you pay for coffee and donuts if you were outside? Don't mention the price because I'll tell you, at the senior center, they're only 35 cents.
Nice.
That's for coffee and donuts.
10 times that.
So, you know, sometimes if you're around the area and you have to shovel all the way from where you live down to us over here for a cup of coffee and a donut, come down and join us.
I will.
And the lunches are $1.50, by the way.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that's not just a luncheon. You get milk, you get coffee, you get dessert. And we have things that we honor the people. We'd love to have people, like if you had a birthday this month, we honor on the last Tuesday of the month. We honor all the people. For example, let's say you were born Christmas in December sometime.
Yeah.
We would honor all the people born in December, including Santa Claus. We'd bring him in too. Now, if you were born in March or April, depending when Easter falls, we would honor the people born in March, people born in April, but also the Easter rabbit too. See, because the little bunny in there, you know what I mean? In there.
Mix it right in with a holiday.
Okay. Now, tell us something. Did you ever do any traveling around, besides Revere and Winthrop?
Yeah, I did a lot of traveling. Well,
tell us
in this country, you know, I stayed in the country. I've been to Florida. I actually purchased a lot of land in Florida and built a lot of houses in Florida.
What part of Florida?
Mostly Southwest, Sarasota and Northport areas. When that Hollywood actor, what was his name there, from Chips, Eric Estrada.
Oh, yes.
He was selling land out there very cheaply. I probably bought about 15 lots of land. And
are they still yours out there?
no, I ended up not, you know, selling them and, you know, to people. I actually made a community.
Did you really?
In the community in Northport.
Look at that sign. See what it says on the bottom?
Yeah.
Community. That's why you're here, Paul.
In Northport, back in the 60s, they developed roads throughout this big giant area, probably thousands of acres, and they were going to develop it. But then you had the Vietnam War, so it stopped dead at the, you know, just roads were there. And then in the late 80s, no, I'm sorry, in the mid-90s, they decided to subdivide all the areas and make lots out of them, and they made like 3,000 lots. And that's when the building boom became big in Florida.
Right, I got to ask this question because it's been a rough winter, not only for us up here in New England, but also for the people down in the Florida too.
It's been tough too.
But the homes that they build down there, do some of them, if I'm wrong, please do correct me, they do not put in a heating system, or they put in air conditioning.
They do. Some of them are these days. A lot of fireplaces are electric fireplaces that do blow heat.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yes, and they do have small furnaces for the backup.
Right.
They started that in the late 80s.
Oh, but there were times before that, let's say
They
the 50s,
only put
60s.
in air conditioners.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what people were telling me. So, you know, because it used to get hot, but times have changed. The climate is changing, times are changing.
And Florida also builds a little different. They do, every one of their houses that they build are usually just on a concrete slab with concrete block, no basements. concrete block walls and then your basic roof. But they're making the basic roofs, well, they had a term when they were making them, very light, and they were blowing away, so they changed a few rules out there. They're all single levels. I would say 80% of Florida is a single level.
Single family house?
No, single level. Meaning it's one story.
Oh,
you have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, kitchen, living room, dining room,
okay,
all on the same floor. So there's no stairs to walk up to the second floor.
And they also have duplexes out there too, like this?
Yeah, but those are in the you know, the Lauderdale areas.
Oh, I see.
Where they make them bigger and very much a lot of money.
That's good.
They're mansions that they actually build. But
mansions? But
I would say 80% of Florida is all ground level, single level. And they're well built with block and, you know, concrete.
That's good. What are some other places that you worked at? That was interesting to me, what you just said.
Yeah, Sarasota, I was in Sarasota, and I did build one duplex there, 2.5 story actually, 10,000 square foot home. That took me about a year to do, and that was it in Sarasota, just the one. I did 14 houses in Northport, built from the ground up.
Very interesting. And, you know, a lot of the people, it's funny how times change, because a lot of the elderly from the Northeast went down to Florida to live there when they get old and retire.
Yeah, snowbirds.
Is that what they call them?
Snowbirds, yes.
Okay. But did you know, Paul, that we had sometimes warmer weather up here?
Than Florida did this year. That was a big to-do. They were having snow. Atlanta, Georgia had 3 inches of snow, and it came to a crawl in Georgia.
Atlanta?
Yeah. They had 3 inches of snow, and it came to a crawl. They didn't know what to do with it.
You know what worries me? It's the fruits of Florida that we rely on.
They get ruined with all the freeze.
Yep, and then the prices go skyrocketing.
And they are skyrocketing right now.
Yep.
And a bag of oranges went from $6 to $12, so you know that's happening.
But I'm glad you mentioned that. What about the orange groves out there? Where are they mostly located at?
You know, there's actually Orange Grove, Florida.
Called Orange Grove?
Yes. Okay. I mean, I'm not familiar with them all, but I did go to Orange Grove, and we went to one of the orange places and picked the oranges. I didn't find them any better than when we get in the store, but they are there.
Yeah. Well, they have, like, if you go into Stop and Shop and other supermarkets, the Moolahs or Shaw's, and they have the containers 100% pure Florida orange juice.
Well, they're not really 100% either.
But that's what the carton says.
The carton says it, but it's from 100% pure orange juice from concentrate. Well, meaning they squeeze the oranges, they add water.
Oh, that's what they do?
You know, they mix it with water. You know, I mean, even around here, there are still some places that fresh squeeze orange juice. And, you know, it's full of pulp and everything else, and you know that's fresh squeezed.
You know, it's funny, I worked at a time many years ago in a place called Michigan, Midland, and we used to have the snow winters up there, very cold too. But there was one specific town that I worked in where the winters were really like the Arctic, and that was Watertown, New York. I don't know if you...
Oh, that's way up north there.
Right, have you ever been up there?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, Camp Drum?
When there were 8 feet of snow and...
I got to tell you about that 8 feet of snow. That's a flurry, but compared, no, up there. When I first went up there was a Thanksgiving Day. On Thanksgiving Day, and I was listening, they only had one channel. It was Channel 7. And there's the Black River that runs through in Watertown. It's called the Black River. And they listened to the radio, to the weather report, flurries tonight. Mild flurries. I get up in the morning, there's 8 inches of snow. So I went into and I spoke to the boss, and I said, Jeepers, I think you got a crazy weatherman here. He said, the flurries, but we got 8 inches. He said, Morris, I don't know where you live, because we came from Boston. I said, here,
that's
a flurry
dusting.
and 8 inches. That winter, and the winter was 1963, I'll never forget it. We couldn't get out of the first floor apartment because the snow had piled up 8 feet, like you say,
Yeah.
in some cases 10 feet. We parked our car. The car was covered with snow. It was covered with snow. We had to go out of the second floor balcony.
Just to get out of the house.
Just to get out of the house. Then the people would ride around the streets of Watertown with a flag, so you could pretty high up on their antennas, you know,
So you could see them
so you
coming.
could see them out there. But one thing that I liked about Watertown, they had smelters, trucks that would pick up the snow, go
Yeah.
near a manhole, park there,
And melt it all
melt it
down.
right out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should bring that everywhere. You know, they have what they call, it's a big tractor, but it has a snow blow thrower on the
Right.
front. The dump truck is driving right next to it, and the snow's thrown right into the truck.
Right. And
You have 3 pieces of equipment, and you would solve a lot of these problems with, you know, curb to curbs and digging out parking places. You drive down the street, and in minutes it's gone.
right, and that same year, when I was listening to the radio or TV, Niagara Falls, which is a little further down outside of Buffalo, New York, was frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen solid. You
Imagine
could almost
that.
walk across well, not walk, but go to Niagara on the other side of the Horseshoe Falls on the
Oh,
Canadian
yeah.
border. I think if I remember, my memory serves me correct, was it the Rainbow Bridge that they called the Rainbow Bridge?
I
that
don't know. I
connected those two
was
continents
never
over
up there, yeah.
Now, you've lived in Revere, you said 15 years. You
Yeah.
talked about when you first came here back 35 years ago. How do you see the things progressing today in the city?
Well,
By the
it's
way-
definitely progressing
To the plus side,
to the plus side. I mean, it's got some issues that they still need to be dealt with.
right? But you know something? When I first came here, the population was very little. It's almost double practically that we have. We
I would say
almost-
more than tripled population.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, oh, sure,
Okay.
sure.
There's about 54,000 people here.
Yeah, and back in the 60s, there was probably 12,000 people here.
Yep. So Revere is growing both population-wise. Also, we have a very ethnic community in here made up of
Extremely.
made up of North Koreans that I see down on Walnut Avenue sometimes.
Yeah,
Cambodians, people from Cambodia.
Vietnamese.
And South Korea too, by the way. When I say North Korea, I mean refugees that cross North Korea to come to the United States.
Right.
And they love this country. You know, it's people that they come in here, foreign people. Some of them become citizens. Some of them are waiting to become citizens. They open up a little business and they flourish.
yeah.
And we have a great Muslim community too. We have a great Italian community in Revere. So we have a great Jewish community. It's nice Revere. I mean, when I'm over here, I feel like I'm in Europe, really. You know,
You're right about that.
my
I mean,
friend-
even the Middle Eastern people are all flocking over right now.
Yep, we have, matter of fact, right on our street, we have a Syrian couple that moved in along the edge of the door. And around the corner from where you live, there's a refugee from Iraq, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iraq. From Baghdad, Iraq, and he loves this country. And you know, it's funny that some of these people that come from overseas love this country more than some of the Americans
Some
do.
of them, I was going to say that, yeah.
So, you know, we got about 4.5 minutes. I'm going to throw it, you'll talk about whatever you like to talk about as much as you want for the next 2-3 minutes. Take it over.
Well, I don't know.
Go ahead. What kind of movies you like? What kind of shows you like?
Well, when I have time, I like action movies. You know, the war movies. I watch a lot of war movies.
Do you watch?
Like,
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned the war movies. There used to be, I say used to be, and it changed on March the 3rd, 2014. There was a channel called the Military Channel on the Comcast,
all right.
right? The Military Channel.
Yeah.
They changed it to American Heroes Channel. It's no more.
Yes, American
Heroes.
Heroes. I saw that.
Did you see that one?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And that was, they also had everything about the Vietnam War, the Korean War,
Yeah.
World War II.
World War II, World War One also I
Yep,
saw.
World War
yeah.
One too.
I watched them. A lot of the documentaries. All you know, they're more interesting than some of the TV programs because they're real.
Yep. I love to watch them too because I'll tell you, I like to watch things that are truthful than imaginary. things.
Yeah, you know, like Rambo running through the woods and killing 2,000 soldiers with one bow and arrow.
I gotta, you know, when I was a young man, many, many moons ago, I used to listen to the radio. We didn't have television when I was a little kid, but we did have radio, and they had like the Green Hornet, Buck Rogers, Flash
yeah.
Gordon,
Yeah.
and Dick Tracy. And
More realistic than today's.
yeah, but at those days, like Dick Tracy would have a watch you could talk to.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, they had a lot of stuff that actually came true in the future. I mean, now they just come up with the watch that you talk to, and
Exactly.
it's a phone. So, I mean, we're talking 30 years ago that we're watching those shows, and here it is 30 years later that a lot of that stuff has come to fruition.
You know, Paul, I got to say, if you look at the TV Saturdays or Sundays, some of the channels that sell things, and they showed a watch that I was really shocked. I mean, it was fantastic. This is a rectangular watch. You could talk to it. You could make a telephone call in it.
That's the new Samsung phone watch.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
But it also had apps on it. You could make a look at
it
apps.
It does everything your smartphone does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, do I think it's the right thing to do? No. Can you picture somebody doing this while they're driving?
Oh.
They got to look at it now.
Yeah, and that's why you have, talking about driving, and well, I hope I don't get heckled for this. In California, they found 3 kids that weren't driving, 7 years old, smoking marijuana, and they want to legalize marijuana in Colorado
Well,
and Washington.
California is a state that's got marijuana legalized. They have a lot of legal.
7-year-old kids smoking in a bathroom.
That I totally disagree with. I mean, it should be tougher than the alcohol laws. You have to be 21 to drink alcohol.
And sometimes you got to be 21 even to smoke. Buy cigarettes.
Buy cigarettes. They shouldn't be allowed to be able to buy marijuana until they're 25, 28, you know, when they have half a brain in their head, that no responsibilities.
Right. Well, I guess our time is up, Paul, so I want to say thank you for taking the time, because I know you're busy working. God bless you, Paul.
Thank you for having me, Morris.
It was an honor and a pleasure. And most of all, not because of the construction, but what you really do for us old folks on the street and the area. They love you there, and I'm sure the people of Revere love you.
Thank you. And if,
But
there's any other seniors out there and they're in that, just call me and let me know where you are.
I got to tell you, not only do the seniors love you, but all the birds in Revere love you too, you know, for feeding them. So, Paul, God bless you again. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming again. I mean that really.
If you ever have friends that are stranded inside in a snowstorm, just let me know. I'll get them out.
Right. And to the people of Revere, thank you for listening. Our troops, God bless you. God bless our great country, the United States of America. And again, Paul, thank you for all the things you do for us old folks.
And thank you for having me.